Hello ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Welcome to live stream 6 of Adult Education Ingredients. My name is Rosalia Wong. I possess a master degree of training and development, and I would like to specialize to bring you the ingredients of adult education, especially categorized for your profession and your organization. So as you know that my specialization is in training on development, so I'll be able to know and sort of bring you the ingredients and what you need for your organization and profession. And also, if you want to book me for more advice, you can book me through the link below in the description section. And also I will bring you and let you know, and if you ask any question, I will bring you about any ingredients that you need to know for your profession and your organization. Alright, now I haven't been doing live stream for quite a while, so this is my live stream 6. As I say, I try my best to do my live stream once a month. So this is February, so this February will be live stream 6. So the topics I'm going to talk about is a material used to teach the adult learners. So especially for adult learners, we know that adult learners, they are characterized by different levels, they're characterized by different sex, different brain hemisphere specification, and also different ages, different ethnic background, etc. Okay, now how to teach adult learners. So the selection of teaching adult, selection of teaching materials is very important for teaching adults. As teaching adults is not as easy as teaching children, where you need to prepare, because we are all adults, we sort of like we have more experience throughout our life, and also we have more knowledge. So the material used to teach adults is especially you have to select, especially you have to develop the appropriate materials. Remember, it is crucial to successful adult learning. We have to focus on crucial success in adult learning. So in fact, the task is made more difficult today by the vast array of materials available. So the choice of materials depend on whether, for example, it is for individual, or it is in a temporary group, or it is in an organizational, or in what types of community setting, etc. All right. Instructional components, for example, like at a mental health center, or any other center, community setting, or for example using audio or tape or video tapes, or in-service training in a workshop, or like for university, like continuing education, or in a college, etc. All right, so we need professional team, of course, to design and to develop and to evaluate the instructional materials. Simonson, the study of Simonson cited by Wilson in 1982, is that it is readily apparent after studying the foregoing guidelines and research that media, which means that they want to emphasize that media is the only way to influence and attitudinal outcomes. So media is a very effective instructional material for teaching the adults, okay, because of the highly visualized presentation and all that. I will talk about how it will present it, and then how it will affect our brain in a moment. So just a little bit, very brief. Today the topic is a very brief one. So actually, if you want to find the highly visualized teaching adults with a highly visualized lessons, you can find somewhere the topic somewhere in my channel. You can find the topic somewhere. I have did that topic quite a while ago. Computer-based learning reveal a level that is far beyond traditional instructional capability in terms of instructional materials. So the question is, how to improve adult learners? For example, their reading, writing, listening, viewing, and thinking skills. So the source of the study, of course, we are talking about the setting. So university setting, the best for study for adults learner is in the libraries for self-directed learning. So because we are adults, we are not children, so we can use the time after the lectures or after the lesson, we can go to the library and do our own study, and this is called self-direction learning. Okay, so what specific feature of instructional material the self-directed learners need? For example, resources, and for example the assistance that is needed for individual adults to guide them to do their individual learning. Another features is self-assessment. So self-assessment is very useful because through self-assessment, the best of the needs of the self-directed learners will be obtained, okay, through the self-assessment. So self-assessment, you can find like online self-assessment, and yourself after the self-directed study for a while, you can do your own assessment. An individual can make plans after the self-assessment for change and commitments to action. Okay, this is just a basic ideas of how you can do your own self-directed learning. All right, a basic idea for adult learners, how to teach adult learners. So the advantage of self-assessment, of course, it will provide a clearer sense of purpose and reward the commitment to live more effective and satisfying life. So after you self-assessment, majority we can sort of like understand what we want individually, what we need to focus on. For example, if you find any hardship, any difficulty in the study, through self-assessment, you will understand yourself, what you need exactly for the study, exactly for yourself in your profession or organization. So just a little bit quiet by yourself and do a deeper self-assessment. I think you can find it online, a lot of self-assessment materials that you can download, or you can print it out and do some self-assessment. And it is very, very effective, because after self-assessment is a little bit like self-understanding. You know about yourself, what kind of features that you need to improve, what kind of specific area you need to improve, so that you can improve your course or improve your study. Okay. Also, the cohort related factors, like for example, comprises of a group of people who have the same goals and ambitions. Example, a class of nursing instructors and trainers might respond well to project tables, figures, and relatively complex data presentation. Again, this is an example. Again, this is also in the university setting, where you study with a group of people with the same levels and same ambitions, like faculties, whatever faculties you are in. So you have the same goals to want to do the assignment, what kind of result they want to achieve. You have the same thing. So of course, this is a good way of studies. Definitely majority is focused on the cohort related factors. All right, but it is quite a hard time for like the younger adult to focus on self-directed study. Self-directed study is quite advanced. You have to do it like quite a while, and you feel that you are quite happy and quite comfortable by yourself, and then you can concentrate on self-directed learning. And I guarantee you, self-directed learning is a very fruitful way of study, and you can sort of like find out what you want, and you sort of like, it's a way to understand yourself. Okay, now together, a group of continuing educators, of course this is about the cohort related factors, they can work together to establish some, like having some rational ideas and procedures for selecting, developing or adopting a wide array of educational materials. Okay, this is like especially good for young adults. They in a university setting or in an organization, it is good too. But generally, more older adults now, they have their own ideas. Generally, they want to do it independently by themselves, to do some self-directed learning. But in a group situation, of course, we can use negotiation and all that to achieve the aims. All right. So for highly visualized, I'm talking about the highly visualized lessons, especially focus on highly specialized lesson, what it is good for the adult learners. So highly visualized lessons that cater for adult learners. The study was done by Simonson in 1983. It suggests that highly visualized lessons are perceived as most realistic by the adult learners. Okay, what is it so good about highly visualized lesson? So research of Simonson had guided us how to educate our students more effectively and efficiently using the highly visualized lessons. So cognitively speaking, when you use the highly visualized, like for example the bright colored pictures, interesting graphics and highlights, no doubt they will, because it will trigger your brain cell, and it will trigger your brain cells of learning, and that enhance the information processing area of your brain. Okay, it will help you to process increase the process of learning as well. So furthermore, with highly visualized lessons, the elements such as, for example, decoding, information processing, and internally synthetic, that all working together to achieve the outcome. So the process are working together in order to achieve your outcome, and it will come out to yourself that you will understand what is the teachers talking about, because he or she is using the highly visualized lessons or materials, and to help you to study easily and more easy to remember, and helping you to have the information processing and trigger the brain cells, which is very effective for learning. For example, media influence the attitude for learning because of the highly visualized materials. Just remember, for highly visualized lessons, make sure you use the minimal arousal material, and it is better than the extreme arousal material. And don't use extreme. Why we don't need extreme arousal material for our teaching? Because extreme arousal materials could make the student stay in a state of tension, and that will result in effectively in terms of learning, it will result in ineffective in learning. The extreme arousal, actually, remember that when we see the highly extreme arousal material, we are sort of like threatened by the images, and we just look away, ignore about the images, and as a result, the important message will pass. And because they're not paying attention to the image, and as a result, they won't learn anything, because of the images is too threatening, and it trigger the brain cells too much, and it was sort of like the important message will pass. So it is more advisable to use the moderate appeals images in terms of highly in terms of using visualized lessons. And so the removal of extreme highly visualized images or material motivates students. So if you remove the extreme arousal material or teaching lesson, it will actually motivate students to maximum learning. If you just use like moderate or minimal arousal instead of extreme arousal images, okay? So naturally, human instinct is to pay less attention. Of course, I just said before, attention to the threatening, which triggers their brain cells, and so the association of the threatening or extreme arousal in the visualized teaching materials will reduce and minimize students' participation in learning. All right, I just mentioned before. Also, remember that if a student in is trying to ignore the threatening image or visualized materials. The important messages, just tend to leave it. The student just tend to leave the important messages, and they will just leave it pass and neglect or ignore. If less tension aroused, learners would tend to they would tend to remember. If you use the moderate or the minimal arousal, they would tend to remember the pleasant image and try to make sense out of the present image, and therefore the process of learning is successful. Okay, so remember, using the minimal or the moderate arousal images for visualized lesson is better than the extreme arousal images.